the king of Iron Fist Tournament 7. Zafina. Zafina. Get ready for the next battle.
Alright, as usual, we're gonna go through the move list together. I'm gonna show some different flowcharts you can go for, what main punishes are, stuff like that. Alright, let's open the list. So 1-2 is what you would expect from the basic 1-2. It's safe on block, you can step after it. I myself don't use it though. I use... oh wait, before we jump ahead, let's do it bit by bit. Then we got 1-2-3. 1-2-3 doesn't matter if it's on counter or not. The third one will always get blocked. But we're fine with that because it leaves us in neutral and in Scarecrow, from where our main pressure is gonna come from later down the line. 1-3 is gonna be our main punisher with her. We're only gonna use it though when we know that we can punish our opponent. Because if this gets blocked, we only have, well, we have two different options basically. And all of them have their own risk. We have a Power Crush, which completely crushes eyes, or we can go for any of her low moves. But those take some time to actually start up, so make sure this connects. Otherwise, you're in for trouble. And then we got 1-4. 1-4 we can do from time to time to annoy our opponent. On block it's fine as well for us, because after we hit 1-2, or if it gets blocked, we will remain in Tarantula stance, which crushes a lot of moves and evades a lot of mids as well. 2-1-3 and 2-1-3 where we hold down. So if you go for 2-1-3 and your opponent is familiar with Zafina, he's always gonna block the low and launch you for it. Because it's, if I remember correctly, very, very punishable on block. Yeah, -17. You don't want that to get blocked. And though it doesn't look too good frame-wise, cancelling the last hit actually improves your pressure. Because from that cancel you can go into Manta stance to keep the pressure up. 2-1+2 is against opponents who got used to 2-1-3. If you don't want to take the risk of getting hop kicked out of a Mantis transition, or don't want to risk getting the low blocked and launch punished, you go for that. It's completely safe as well, so just throw it out. 1+2 4-4 is special. If the first one hits uncountered and you do the full thing, you actually get a screw and can combo from here. If the first one connects, the second will always connect as well. It looks like it puts your opponent into crouch. Momentan mit niemandem, ich bin nur am Erklären gerade. It looks like it puts your opponent into crouch, but it doesn't. It leaves you at +1 though, so feel free to go for jab pressure with 1-2 into sidestep movement, or 1-2-3 to go into scarecrow and pressure from there. If your last hit connects, you can actually pick up and still get a combo from that. With down back 3, then you hold back to cancel out of Scarecrow immediately so she doesn't go into it, and then with down forward 1 for the screw. Oops. It's kind of distance dependent though, so sometimes the down back 3 might actually whiff, so watch out for that. Forward 2-3-4 is a really great string as well. A lot of the characters in the cast actually have trouble with punishing that because it has quite a lot of pushback, and many people don't even try to launch punish that, though it's very much possible. So really great at the wall to get a wall bounce for free and a wall combo for free. If you only do the first 2, it will leave you at 0 frames on block. You will remain in Scarecrow and can go from there basically. Also, it's a counter hit combo launch. I just need to remember the proper combo. Yeah. Great string. Forward 3, I don't use that much, but you can actually use that to go into a stance with +3 to get some guaranteed pressure going. I was talking earlier about forward 2-3, which is neutral on block, and 1-2-3, which is neutral on block. Those are decent as well, but those kinda limit your options because your opponent will always be able to jab interrupt you. So you have forward 3 to kind of counteract that, so certain options can't get interrupted anymore. Like if I were to go for 1-2-3 and then follow up with a jab, if my opponent were to jab at the same moment, he would hit me out of Scarecrow stance and we would be both in neutral again. And if that's something you want to avoid, you go for 4-3, then the jab. If he tried to jab you, your jab will connect because it's faster. You're at +9 now, so you can actually go for high damage counter hits, which on block gives you crazy plus frames as well. With +6, you're basically free to do whatever you want to do. If you're feeling cheeky after that gets blocked, you could even go for down forward 2 launch. Then we have forward 4. It screws. It is more of an Oki tool basically. You get a guaranteed back 3, or you can do a down back 4-2. Besides that, I wouldn't use it that much. Maybe for parry setups, if you kind of want to annoy your opponent. It has the same frames as down forward 1-4 on block, because it's the same ender, leaves you at -6. If you have a read that your opponent is gonna use a jab, you go for the parry. If you think that he's not going for a jab, but anything that's slower than 12 frames or so, then you can move around and sidestep, try to fish for a countered launch, or for one of your guaranteed stance transitions if your opponent whiffs. Forward 1+2. Forward 1+2 is one of the wall bounces. It's one of the better ones in the game. It's completely safe on block. It's a mid, but it's very linear. It can get stepped very easily. Now we have two of the main strings basically. We have the unsafe one, which is down forward 1-1. If the second connects on counter hit, need to get the distance right, the third will connect as well. If only the last hit connects, we get a hard knockdown into a guaranteed back 3. Be careful though, if the last hit gets blocked, you're -13. And if the second hit gets blocked, you're -13 as well. So if your opponent guesses right and immediately goes for the punish, you're gonna eat that punish. To kind of counteract that, we've got a safe version though as well, in down forward 1-4. Here the same rules as with forward 4 apply. That if we expect something that's slower than a jab, we can go for sidestep movement, or that if we expect a jab, we can go for parries. Near the wall, her parry wall splits as well for huge amounts of damage. Gonna show that later as well. Down forward 2 is her 16 frame launch. You can use that from time to time when you're +1, for example, or when you're neutral on block. It has some high crush properties on startup, so if you're feeling really cheeky, you can just throw it out. The worst you're gonna eat is the jab string punish. Down forward 3-4. Down forward 3-4, you get down back 4-2, guaranteed on hit. On block, it's completely safe, and again, same rules as with the other strings. Parry setup or sidestep. It also has a low variation, which will leave you at +1. You don't really get anything guaranteed after, because it pushes your opponent back a bit. If your opponent tries to do anything at all though, you can check them with a wild standing 4. If a wild standing 4 gets blocked, feel free to go for a parry setup. Don't try to sidestep though, because you're too minus for that. So it's either you go back into the defense, into the defensive, or you go for parry. If your opponent decides to respect the follow-up because he fears that wild standing 4, you can go for full crouch options or wild standing options. Full crouch you have forward 3, for example, where if you hold down you go into Manta stance and you get a guaranteed down 4 right after. This we only use in combos or to cancel out of to go for the aforementioned full crouch forward 3. If we use that on a wall stage, it's actually gonna wall break. Out of neutral, I would never use that, except if I know that my opponent is -14. Otherwise, I would never use that move. If your opponent is turtling a lot, you can use that to cancel out and go for while standing in full crouch mix-up. That's that for this string. Cerberus Strike you're only gonna use for wall carry, for nothing else really. There's no other use for it. Down forward 1+2. Down forward 1+2 is a safe mid-launch that completely evades highs. You can actually combo 2 of those into each other to make for some pretty cool looking combos. Also, if your Rage Drive connects, oops, you can do that one as well for pickup. Alright, let's see. Down 1-1. Highly delayable string. Unsafe at -12. At worst you're gonna eat a jab string punish. Never do only the first one. If you only do the first one, you're guaranteed to eat a launch. Always do both. You either do the second one immediately, or you try to delay the second as long as possible. Because if the second connects and counter it, you're guaranteed a combo again. It's a counter hit launcher. You kinda test your opponent's knowledge of the character with that. Also, if the first one connects on counter hit, the second one will always hit as well. So it becomes a natural on counter hit. You don't get the combo though anymore. This string right here is one of my favorites, but it's quite risky to use. You have several options from it. If the first connects uncountered, all of the follow-up is guaranteed, but you get nothing guaranteed after, like no grounded hits or anything like that. If the second connects uncountered though, you can actually pick up for a combo. If this gets blocked though, you are in trouble. Because minus 13 is gonna hurt against certain characters. Also, if you only do the first two, it's gonna leave you in Mantis stance. If you only do the first two and hold down, it's gonna leave you in Tarantula stance. So if you expect your opponent to immediately retaliate, you go for Tarantula. If you expect them to turtle, you go for Mantis stance to mix them up. Down 3. Down 3 is one of her main lows basically. If you only do the down 3 and then immediately go for while standing 4, you can check your opponent like that. If you want to go for more stance heavy transitions or pressure in general, you hold down to go into Mantis stance. It will leave you at +4, and from there you can follow up with an immediate 1-3. While standing 1-3, or wait, that's not right. Not while standing 1-3, but Mantis 1-3. Which on hit gives you +9, so you can go for a countered game and pressure at the same time. And if it gets blocked, we are in a similar situation as we are with 1-2-3 or 4-2-3, where it leaves us at neutral. And we basically need to mind game our opponent if we're gonna use Power Crush or use an evasive low. Also, uncountered, it will do that knockdown. As far as I know, the only things you get guaranteed after are... Oh wait, that actually works, what the fuck. Stealth buff perhaps. Well, you can either go for up 4-3, you can go for the slide, or you can go for the screw with down 1-4. If you go for the screw with down 1-4, I would end the combo with down forward 4-1 into another knockdown basically to keep pressure up. Wall carry I wouldn't go for because your opponent is backturned, and even if you wall splat your opponent, you won't get anything guaranteed after. Down 4-3. So, down 4-3 is one of your other main countered launchers basically. If this lands, you're gonna deal a lot of damage. Also, on block, it's completely safe. Leaves us at -6, so same rules apply, sidestep or parry. Also, you can just poke away at your opponent to kinda confuse them with down 4, and then go for a sidestep. If you go for a sidestep game there, your opponent is gonna whiff if he's not using any homing moves or stuff like that, or moves that track really well, because Zafina's movement is excellent. Also, if you connect something like down forward 1-4 and immediately go for this, and your opponent tried to backdash or press anything at all, you're gonna get that countered for free. Down back 2. Down back 2 has some high crushing properties. It... Oh, wait. Yeah, there we go. It ends in a hard knockdown for your opponent as well. You can go for forward to get some guaranteed damage in if they try to immediately stand up, because it's an Oki situation you force them into. On hit it's +3, so you can either go for down forward 1 pressure or jab string pressure. Down back 3 is another low you can use. The range on this one is abysmal though, so only use it when you're very close to your opponent. It will leave you at +3. How to pressure from Scarecrow I'm gonna cover a bit later. Down back 4-2, another string that crushes highs. This one is able to crush mids in certain situations as well. Uncountered, the full thing's gonna connect and deal some juicy damage. It's probably the highest countered damage you have with her. Also, if you only do the first one and you hold down, you can go into Mantis stance. Yeah. If this gets blocked though, you eat a 13 frame punish. Tekken Dunus. Then we have down back 1+2, 1+2. If we only use down back 1+2, it works like a normal low launcher for us. If we expect our opponent to block the low, we go for the follow-up and can still cash in on a combo. So there we kind of need the read. Is our opponent the kind of person who's able to read tricky lows like that? Or did he have a hard read? Then we go for the full extension. If we know that our opponent is not able to react to stuff like that, we only go for the first hit as a low launch. Be careful though, because if either the low or the mid gets blocked, you're in trouble. Because the low is at -16, you're gonna get wild standing launch punished for that, and the mid at -14, certain characters like Leroy or Xiaoyu, Kunimitsu are able to punish. Back 1. Back 1 is your main combo finisher basically. As soon as the hit on its own connect, you press 1+2. They increased the confirm window basically. Like when Zafina was released, it was a really tight window to actually hit that. They made it bigger basically, so it's easier to land now. Back 2 is one of her homing moves. I don't use it that often. You're free to sidestep after that one. I wouldn't go for parry setups, because between 0 and -5, if you're able to move around, you should be moving around basically. Because if you go for parry, you're always running into the risk that your opponent's gonna wait it out and launch you for it. Use a low of any sorts or a countered low that will give him a combo, so it's better to move around. Also, if back 2 connects on hit, I mean, you get down back 4-2 guaranteed, or her stomp, if you want to go for that. Yeah, the stomp itself, it's safe on block, it's a power crush, and you can go into Mantis stance if you feel like it. To go into Mantis stance, as always, you just hold down. It will leave you at -frames, so it's more of a mind thing, kind of mind advantage against your opponent. Yeah, the stomp you're most of the time only gonna use for like guaranteed Oki stuff. Otherwise you won't use it that much. Well, back 4-4 exists, but it's pretty trash. You can kinda hit confirm it, but it's too risky. I wouldn't use it. I would rather go for down forward 1-4 and stay safe. Back 1+2. Excellent poking tool. From range 2, sometimes even from the start of range 3, still hits. Great at annoying your opponent and actually forces crouch as well. So, though it says that it's -2, you're basically at -1. And you're more than welcome to try and move around still. Yeah, this is just unblockable. Not really much use for that one. Oops, I kind of skipped that. Up forward 1, that's if you want plus frames and your opponent doesn't crouch too much. Also, you use it in combos to do more damage. You use it in a wall combo as well, but we're gonna come to that later. Up forward 3, you get guaranteed forward 4. If you time it right and if you try to stand up immediately. The stomp and down back 4-2, only the down back 4-2 is gonna connect, so go for forward 4. Up forward 1+2 will actually, if the distance is right, you can actually combo from it. It's a bit tricky on the distance though. So basically, with Tarantula 1+2, you screw them if that connects on counter. If it gets blocked, you wait a bit, wait for them to whiff something, and then start to press buttons. But Tarantula I will explain later down the line a bit more. Forward 4-2. Forward 4-2 is great out of neutral game. Will leave you at +1. You can go for cheeky down 4-2s to evade highs and launch them for trying to retaliate. Uncountered, you actually get a combo for huge amounts of damage if I could get it. Oh my god. The timing on that is very strict, though. Yeah, just imagine I would have landed the finisher as well. It's huge damage if it hits. It's homing as well, so it's great for keeping your opponent from stepping. If your opponent steps too much, you go for the mid variation with forward 4. This one's completely safe, but it's minus. So no sidestep movement or general movement for us. We just go back into block. Forward 3-1. Forward 3-1. So basically, if you only do the first one, it's gonna leave you in scarecrow stance. If it gets blocked, it will leave you on +4 in scarecrow stance. So you're basically free to pressure however you want. If it connects on counter, the first hit that is, you get a combo. If it connects on counter and you do the full thing, it's guaranteed damage on its own. If your opponent tries to press while you do the first hit, basically. No, not while you're doing the first hit, but when you're doing the first hit only and your opponent kinda still wishes to press for some reason, you've got the one to kinda make them fear the follow-up. But I don't really get the logic myself why you would ever go for the extension itself. Because if you do the first one on its own, it's gonna leave you at plus and you can pressure from there. So I would suggest to never go for the extension. Yeah, forward 4 we already talked about. Forward 3+4. This one's a bit risky to use. It's punishable, jab string punishable. If you hold down, it will leave you into Mantis stance. If it gets blocked and you go immediately into Mantis stance, there is a chance that you will completely evade highs. It's kinda situation dependent though. Yeah, then we got forward 3, leaves you at +6. If your opponent decides to press something, he's either gonna eat some sort of counter, like down back 4-2, or we will check him with down forward 1-4. Tarantula dive, so basically if you run more than 3 steps, press 4 and hold down, you will knock your opponent down, switch sides, and can go into Tarantula stance to pressure from there. Wild Standing 1-2 is her main Wild Standing Punisher. Wild Standing 2 is her big damage Wild Standing Punisher. I don't use it that often. If you want to go for Wild Standing mix-ups, you can use this one though, because if you do Wild Standing 2 and hold down, you're gonna do that evasive roll backwards. The problem with this is that Zafina players who are familiar with this will just run straight up to you and launch you for it. So only use this against people who are not familiar with the character. Familiar in a way that they don't know about this or that they haven't played her themselves. About this we talked already. Yeah, sidestep 1+2, we're basically at -1 and can do an immediate step afterwards. On hit, we're basically +9. So we can feel free to go for counter hits. Also, nothing also. Somehow I kept in my memory that it's gonna knock down as well. But I guess I was mixing that one up with last sidestep 2. Alright, finally we go to Tarantula stance. You've got 1, that's basically your low poke to annoy your opponent, right? Leaves you at +5 on hit, and even if it gets blocked, your opponent will have trouble to punish you for it. The best option for the opponent would be to low parry your ass, probably. If this hits and you go for an immediate 3 and they try to move around or press anything at all, the 3 is gonna connect, which will give you a free down 1+2. So yeah, I skipped. There also. When you do her Tarantula 3, right? If you press 3 and hold down, you can go into Mantis stance to kind of mix up your pressure a bit. Or if you feel like they are gonna try and somehow hit you out of Tarantula, you go back into Mantis, because Mantis is the only stance she can block in. Yeah. Tarantula 2, very strong launcher, very high damage. And if I remember correctly, it's safe on block as well. Yeah. The only downside to that move, it takes an eternity to start up. It's safe though, so if your opponent kind of hears the mix-up and feels like he's getting annoyed by the pokes, and is really going for those low parries, you hit him with this. Then you got Tarantula's Bite with 4-3. If this one connects and countered, similar to down 4-3, if a second connects and counter, you get a combo. Let's see, what else do we have? Also, if you only press 4, it will get you back into Mantis stance. If you press 4 and hold down, you can stay in Tarantula if you decide to do so. Yeah, Tarantula stance 1+2 is against opponents who want to hit you out of Tarantula with lows. Because you do that little jump, you're gonna crush lows completely. And it will result in a hard knockdown. You can try and follow up with a stomp to kind of make them like respect that they can't use any get up kicks right after against you. I wouldn't, yeah, basically if this connects, feel free to go for back 3, because back 3 on block is completely safe. Yeah, the low on its own, hard knockdown as well, will leave you into Mantis, will leave you in Mantis stance. Yeah, Scarecrow stance. So we've got the 1. The 1 basically works like a check option for her. So if the 1 connects, if the 1 connects and we can visually confirm that the 1 connects, we're gonna go for 1+2. If a 1+2 connects on normal hit, down for 3 is gonna connect. And like, it's a small combo for us basically. If it connects on counter hit, we're getting some huge damage for free. If it gets blocked, we're getting out of Mantis and we can feel free to pressure however we want to. Scarecrow Nightmare is her Season 4 edition on how to go into Tarantula stance basically. So normally I would suggest just using 1. But if you feel like your opponent kind of got behind, that you're checking them with 1 and is patiently waiting, you go for 1-4 instead. And if they try to launch you because they thought you're still gonna remain in Scarecrow stance, then you're gonna punish them with 3 into down 1+2. Also, I kind of forgot that with Mantis stance to actually tell about this. If you're in Mantis stance, press 4 and hold down, you can switch to Tarantula as well. Yeah. Scarecrow stance 2-2 is great, because uncountered, if the first one connects, you can still combo. So you can use that as a countered launch basically. If you do the full thing uncountered, it's just guaranteed damage into hard knockdown. You can't pressure anymore though, and your opponent will interrupt you with his get up kicks, so be careful there. It's 14 frames fast, so if we manage to connect 3, which we are going to use as a check basically, if we want to remain into Scarecrow. So basically, we have 2 ways of playing. We can get out of Scarecrow as quick as possible if we go for 1+2, if we want to do so. Or we keep at it after we connected a 1 and want to continue the pressure out of stance. If a 1 connects, we go for single 3 to go to get +5 on hit. If we think they're gonna block, we go for 3 forward 3 instead, which will leave us at +3. If we decided to only mid-check them with a single 3, we are going for 2-2 or just 2. If our high got blocked or any of our pokes got blocked, we have 2 options. We either go for her, where is it? Power Crush mid launch, where we can combo from as well. or we go for down forward 4. Down forward 4, if it connects, we can actually decide if we want to stay in Mantis right after. The frames won't change here. Or if we want to get out of stance. If we want to get out of stance, we don't hold down. And it's gonna leave us in our normal neutral stance, basically, idling stance. And we can feel free to go for countered game again. Yeah, this one we talked about. 3+4 has some evasive properties, but they are highly inconsistent. Mainly we use this to screw our opponent while he's airborne. Yeah, besides that, we can use it as a high crushing option that deals huge damage on hit. 30 damage in 2 hits, basically. Also, on block, -12, so you're gonna get punished for that. Yeah, down forward 3, you can go into Mantis stance from that. You've got the follow-up as well. The follow-up will launch. If the first connects on hit, the second's always gonna connect as well. So basically, while you're fighting someone, you kinda have to decide, am I in range for the first to hit? If you are in range for the first one to hit, you always do the full thing. If you are not in range to hit that, you go for Mantis stance, basically. Yeah, this move I kind of teased already. It's your main low mix-up, basically. Where if you go into that low, you can either go for counters out of Mantis, which I'm gonna explain a bit later, or you just go back into standing and then immediately go for counters. Down 3-3 will leave you at +8. And on +8, you're basically free to do whatever you want to. You could even go for 3+4 here. Also, I haven't explained that one, so let me do that one real quick. If you do 3-3-4 and hold down, it will leave you in Mantis stance. You actually need to go into Mantis stance from there to get the pickup here. If you don't go into Mantis stance, you don't get the combo. This one I already talked about. Also this one wall splits. Yes. So does this. So 4-3 and down 3-3 are your plus frame moves, basically, out of Scarecrow. Also, her Scarecrow 2 sometimes evades size, but it's very inconsistent. So if you generate some plus frames like that, most of the time you're gonna check with 1. And if they got hit, you go for 1+2, count it. Or you keep in stance and try to poke them to death. Let's see. Yeah, that one we talked about. Then we've got the slide as well. I don't really recommend using that one. I think it's pretty bad. I think it's even launch punishable as well. Yeah, highly launch punishable. You can go into Mantis stance from it, but I'm really against using that move. I can't recommend it. Yeah. If you feel like you want to get out of a Scarecrow stance and your opponent started to step her 1+2 option or her mix-up game in general, you go into that transition with down 3+4. This transition will actually high crush as well. Vote high crushes though, you have not really any opportunity to punish them for the attempt. It's basically your the move you want to use if you want to gain some distance or get out of stance. Alright, Mantis stance, we're nearly done. So we've got Mantis 1, right? On block, -6, so parry setups and sidestep game. On hit, +5, so we can feel free to pressure. I would rather go for 1-3 though, because on hit you can go for countered game and pressure game, and on block you're neutral and still can kind of go for mix up and mind games and stuff like that. Then you have 2-1-4. 2-1-4 is your screw string basically, and also your how should I say, countered check basically. So if any of those hits get blocked, except the third one, Kunimitsu, Leroy, Xiaoyu, characters who can launch you for 14 frames are going to do that. If you go for the full thing though, it's -13 only, so you're gonna eat a bit of damage still, but it's not gonna be a launch like with just 2-1. Most of the time I'm just gonna go for 2, because I'm aiming for the countered, and then gonna convert that somehow with 1-3 into 3+, for example. Yeah, then we've got Lilith. So if this gets blocked, you're gonna eat a while standing 4 for sure. If the first hit connects on counter, you can combo from here. This one, Tiger Sweep, is a bit better. Leaves you at +9, so you can set that to counter we were talking about earlier. Also, if only the 3 connects on hit, feel free to go for the countered as well. Because you force them into crouch, you're basically at +4, because your opponent only has the wild standing 4 as the fastest option. So at worst you're gonna trade and you're still gonna get the combo. Yeah. 4-3, very risky to use, very launch punishable, but if it connects uncounted, it's insane amounts of damage. And that's just without rage. Yeah, 1+2 is another one out. God damn it, I can't talk today. Is another one of the power crush moves. You get a guaranteed down for 3 right after, or you can go for stomp as well. That's guaranteed as well. Paradox you only use when you kind of slide it past your opponent with forward 3+, for example, and suddenly you have your back to your opponent. Then you go for Paradox to kind of save your ass. Yeah, then you got down forward 2. Completely safe on block. It's a launch on hit. And you actually get a small combo from here. Let's see. This one I haven't found any real use for so far. I guess you can kinda push your opponent back a bit, and on hit you might be able to go for countered setups, but I wouldn't recommend using that move. At least I don't use it at all. Her down forward 4 is your homing check from Mantis, because the stance itself is quite linear. You don't even need to hold down to go into Tarantula from there. You can just go into Tarantula by just doing the input on its own. Yeah, 1-4, you're actually gonna come out of Mantis stance, but it's launch punishable. You're only gonna use that one for combos. Her down 3-1 is completely safe on block, and on countered, you will actually get the combo. It leaves you in Mantis stance as well, so basically it's down 3-1, down 1-4, and then back 1+2. Yeah, then you've got the slide. The slide will leave you at +2. At max range it will leave you at +3, I believe. Getting the distance is a bit of a pain though. Oh wait, what? +7 actually, what the fuck? +8. Alright, so depending on the distance you travel, the number's gonna shoot up basically, how much plus you are. So if you connect this on after traveling a huge distance, you basically can go for a countered game. Yeah, Enki. This one we can use if we knocked our opponent down in some way and want to get a guaranteed hit after. Also, if we hold down after, we can go into Mantis stance immediately and are still safe. So we can kind of use it to go for safe mix-up game. This is basically her safe mid while remaining in stance. Yeah, then we've got the different throws. The parry. Her rage drive you're never gonna use in combos, because it just sucks. If you try to use it in a combo and you're not close to the wall, it's gonna hit your opponent further away and you won't be able to finish your combo. The first one can connect, but the second will always whiff if you try. Let's see. Right, wall game. I like this map, so I pick this map. Alright, so your base is, yeah, basically the wall combo you're gonna see most of the time is down forward 1 into down forward 1-2-1. That will actually wall break as well. If you got a high wall splat, you can go for up forward 1 and then down forward 1-2-1. Yeah, then the thing I wanted to show with parry, that it wall splats. Up forward 1 is gonna whiff here, so always go for the first one I showed you, with down forward 1 into another down forward 1-2-1. It's damage for free at the wall, basically. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, and I believe I basically talked about everything. Maybe one thing to remember. 3-3-4 into Mantis stance. Never try that against people who know Zafina or who played against her at least a little bit. Because if a low gets blocked, you're gonna eat a launch. yeah, besides that, I think I've pretty much mentioned everything. Yeah, and that's Zafina. Well, I thank you for watching, and that's it for her, basically. And I guess I will see you next time. Till then.